While millions of people are outside, cheering, filming, and calling explosions in the sky beautiful, there is another group of people sitting inside, with the curtains closed, the volume up, and a dog pressed against their leg. And according to neuroscience, their nervous systems might not be overreacting. They might be processing the night completely differently. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain will change how you see people who can't stand fireworks, and maybe how you see yourself. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. Not being able to stand fireworks doesn't make you boring. It doesn't mean you hate fun. It doesn't mean you're fragile, dramatic, or secretly trying to ruin the party. And it definitely doesn't mean something is wrong with you. But there is something genuinely fascinating happening inside your body. Something completely different from the people who drive 40 minutes, park in a field, and happily wait for the sky to start exploding. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do fireworks feel amazing to some people and unbearable to others? For a lot of people, fireworks are pure celebration. Lights, colours, family, summer, freedom, childhood memories, a sky doing magic tricks for free. But for other people, fireworks are basically joy for the eyes and chaos for the nervous system. The lights may be beautiful, but the sound? The sound lands in the body like danger, not like entertainment, not like celebration, like something is wrong. And before you can think, before you can remind yourself that it's just fireworks, your body has already made a decision. Shoulders up, jaw tight, hands moving toward your ears, heart doing something it has absolutely no business doing at a neighborhood party. You don't hate the lights. You don't hate the celebration. You can't stand the noise because your body feels it more. And this is where it gets interesting. There is a small structure in your brain called the amygdala. Its job is to scan incoming information and ask one very old question. Is this a threat? In most people, a loud but expected sound gets processed quickly. Firework, celebration, safe enough, move on. But in some nervous systems, that filing process is not so smooth. The loud sound gets flagged with more urgency. The body enters a stress response. Heart rate rises. Muscles tense. The system prepares. This happens before conscious thought, before your rational mind can say, "Relax, it's just fireworks." Your body has already voted. And unfortunately, your body does not hold a meeting with your personality before it reacts. It just reacts. That's why telling someone, "just relax," usually does absolutely nothing. If relaxation worked by command, humanity would be unstoppable. But the nervous system does not work like a light switch. It works more like a smoke alarm. And for some people, fireworks set off the alarm even when there is no real fire. But wait, it gets more specific. Psychology has a name for one version of this experience: sensory processing sensitivity. People with this trait don't just hear a loud sound, they experience it at a higher resolution, more detail, more intensity, more physical response. The sound does not stay outside of them, it goes through them. What feels like background noise to one person feels like an event to another person's body. Same firework, completely different nervous system. Psychologist Elaine Aron spent decades researching highly sensitive people, and her work suggested that a meaningful portion of people process sensory input more deeply than average. Not a disorder, not a diagnosis, a trait. A variation in how human nervous systems take in the world. And this matters because a lot of people spend years thinking they are weak when they are actually overstimulated. They think they are failing socially when their system is simply taking in too much, too fast, too loudly. Loud concerts, crowded malls, packed restaurants, fireworks. Any environment where the world basically says, let's celebrate by attacking every sense at once. For some people, that is fun. For others, that is a full-body evacuation notice. Now, before anyone gets mad, this is not saying fireworks are bad. That's not the point. The point is that the same event can land differently in different bodies. For one person, it's nostalgia. For another, it's sensory overload. For one person, it's freedom. For another, it's a jump scare with a patriotic soundtrack. Neither person is making it up. They are just not having the same experience. And sometimes you stay inside not only for yourself. You stay because someone smaller in the house is terrified. A dog under the bed. A cat hiding behind the couch. A child covering their ears before the next explosion even comes. And in that moment, something becomes obvious. The animal is not overreacting. The child is not overreacting. They are responding honestly to a world that suddenly became too loud. And maybe you are too. Maybe your body is not being dramatic. Maybe it is being honest faster than your mind can explain it. Here's the part that explains why this gets so exhausting socially. The nervous system does not care about the social calendar. 4th of July is loud. New Year's Eve is loud. Weddings are loud. Concerts are loud. Birthday parties somehow become loud even when the plan was small gathering. Culture has decided that joy should often come with maximum volume. And if your body does not handle maximum volume well, celebration becomes strategy. Do I go and suffer through it? Do I go and leave early, then explain myself to people who won't fully understand? Do I stay home and explain that instead? There is no option that costs nothing. And over time, explaining becomes its own kind of noise. Because you already know the look, the polite confusion, the tiny judgment, the, really? It bothers you that much? The, but it's just for one night. The, come on, don't be boring. And suddenly the hardest part is not the fireworks. It's convincing people that your body is telling the truth. So you start managing your life around your nervous system. You develop exit strategies. You find the quietest corner before you sit down. You calculate how long you can stay before the stimulation becomes too much. You smile and say you're fine, even when your body is doing something very different from fine. But there's another layer. For some people, loud, unexpected noises are not just loud. They connect to something older, a body that learned at some point that sudden intensity meant something was wrong. That noise was a signal, that the safest response was to brace. And the nervous system does not forget lessons like that just because the context changed. Even when the sound is celebration and not danger. Even when everyone else is laughing. Even when your logical mind understands perfectly well what is happening. The body responds to the pattern. Loud, sudden, intense. And the body says, prepare. This is not weakness. This is memory stored somewhere deeper than thought. And that explains why, for some people, fireworks do not feel like simple discomfort. They feel like something being activated, something they did not choose, something they cannot fully control. Now, here's what all of this actually means. You are not overreacting. You are not fragile. You are not someone who needs to toughen up and learn to enjoy noise like everyone else. Your nervous system is doing what nervous systems do, processing the world. Yours just processes certain kinds of intensity at a different resolution than most. And the goal is not to become the kind of person who stands in the middle of a fireworks show and feels absolutely nothing. That is not growth. That is just pretending your body is not speaking. The goal is to stop treating your own nervous system like a malfunction, to stop apologizing for a response that is real, physical, and shared by far more people than you think. Because the nervous system does not care about the social calendar, but you can care about yourself. And choosing the quieter room, the earlier exit, the night at home with the dog, the headphones, the closed curtains, the calm environment, that is not weakness, that is self-knowledge. And honestly, in a world where everyone is constantly told to ignore their own limits, knowing what your body needs is a pretty radical thing. So the next time fireworks start and everyone else runs outside and something in you wants to stay back, remember this. You are not failing the celebration. You are listening to your body. Everyone else may hear freedom. Your nervous system may hear threat. And understanding that difference changes everything.